Welcome everybody to my The Walking Dead compendium review. Well, sort of review, but what I'm going to be doing here is, I'm going to be talking about a few details that they haven't put into the show, and some little personal theories that I've had for certain parts of the show, or I mean the comics. So I've gotta find the first page where the part where Rick gets shot. So this is my first, blah blah. It's my first theory. You can't really see it, but so everybody knows. Everybody knows that Rick gets shot, of course. Everyone knows that, right? But a little detail I've noticed in this third panel, where this crazy criminal is saying, "I ain't gonna go back." But you notice how he's using a shotgun, right? And a shotgun shell. And he shoots Rick. I don't think, because that part of his body is where his heart is. That's his right, that's his left or right hand, and that's his left. I believe the heart's around this area, but since the dude here is using a shotgun, and that you can see huge ass gaping hole in Rick, wouldn't that mean that he's dead? He has to be dead, because no one can survive whatever the hell that is. That's just a huge ass hole in him, and guess what? He wakes up. We don't even see a patch on him, but the only detail that I've noticed is that a certain part, you can see that right here, Rick has a little detail on him. It's in my camera quality is crap, but if you've seen the comics yourself, then you would know. Then here's a really good detail for it from my shitty camera, is that you see that patch right there? If you return to the first page, that's his left side, I think. I'm not sure. Left or right. But then here, it's the same place where he got shot. That's where his heart is. Just keep in mind that. Just keep in mind that he has that blood patch. And it's just my theory says is that maybe Rick is dead. Oh, that's better. Now you can see it. So Rick is dead, and he's just making this all up in his mind, or is whatever he did after he died. But the thing is, what I think is that maybe Rick, where he gets shot, is after the events of the apocalypse here in the series. It's after it, because and you would be saying, "Hey Thomas, but isn't Shane in the first part?" I'd be like, "Yeah, but the part, I'm not done talking about the theory yet." But I say but a lot, and Shane, but oh Jesus Christ, I gotta stop saying the word B. Shane, in my theory, is a ghost. It's just, you know, when sometimes people can't cope with the fact that a certain relative or friend is dead, and all they see is just like the ghost of them. It's if you've ever seen the Black Ops series, the very first game, You play as the main character, of course, but you are accompanied by one of the dead characters, one of the many friends that Mason had in the series. The one who you talk to in the prison escape. It's kind of like that, but Rick doesn't... But Rick just can't cope with the fact that one of his friends died. So it's just he just thinks of Shane as a ghost. And then he wakes up, of course, blah blah blah, and then I'm done with that theory, so I got a very interesting and bizarre one, though. And another weird thing is, I was talking with my friend Daniel, aka Dan's Reviews, talking about some things. Since when he woke up in the hospital, and then I think at one part Shane tells him that Shane wanted to stay with Rick. But what I don't get is that when we see this entire huge panel of a whole bunch of zombies, when the zombies started being very large amount in a hospital, wouldn't they smell Rick? Wouldn't they go try and attack him? That doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like a little thing that makes me really theorize about the entire series. Is that maybe Rick is dead, or B, it's just weird. Because you just don't smell him in this part. They don't smell him when he's in the hospital and he's still in the coma. And then we go past all of this. And this miniature theory. See, this rotten zombie in this part. At one point in the comics where Rick has to shoot the zombie, it's like the way the zombie says, whatever the zombie says in that part, makes me think that maybe if she was actually human, she would say, "Put me out of my misery." Because you know how in the show, the same type of corpse, but it's on its stomach, was putting its hand towards Rick? Maybe it could just because it wanted to try and eat Rick to get some energy back, or maybe it's trying to do a silent way of saying, "Put me out of my misery." It's just little tiny details that I really like talking about. And then this is where Morgan's son beats Rick with a shovel. So nothing too much interesting about that. But as we all know, Morgan later on, and way later on, is now a martial artist. But we never know we don't go into much details about Morgan's mentor, the guy that trains him the arts of not killing, until Morgan actually kills somebody in a certain episode. That's probably just based all about him killing that person, I think. And then here's where he shoots the rotting corpse. It says she says, of course, that, but the way she looks makes me think that's maybe that she really wants Rick to put her out of her misery and stuff. Then he walks by, of course, he meets up with the horse. Tiny detail that I just find a little bit disgusting is when the zombies kill the horse right there. That's friggin' disgusting. But then another detail is that in the show, Glenn is accompanied by other people, but in the comics it's just Glenn that finds Rick. Then he meets up with his wife, talks with Shane. Shane and Rick go hunting. And then after that's where the part where Rick and Glenn go back into the city to find supplies, I believe. And then see another big detail is that in the show it's kind of like they just turned it around. In the comics, they use the guts of a zombie to go into the city, but in the show they use it to get out. In the show, when they use the guts, Rick has never even met his wife again. Met his wife in a long while yet, but in the comics he's already met his wife, and now he's using the Glenn and him are using the guts to get into the city. Just a little thing, cool thing I like. So you notice how... You notice this zombie that must have been a drug addict or an alcoholic before he became a zombie? Well, what I'm thinking is that, you notice how when Rick tries to wave his hand in front of the zombie kind of like grunts in a very menacing way and then pushes Rick's hand away. It's like zombies actually, I wouldn't say have a brain, but they do. It's like they actually have a lot of intelligence. Because I've never seen a zombie ever do that. Ever. Like, I've seen a lot of zombie movies, but honestly, that kind of thing never has happened in them. It's just weird little thingy that I saw. And that's kind of a little bit too happy for a zombie. Little girl. Hey, isn't that the little girl that we see in the first zombie that Rick kills? I think that is. But that's kind of a little bit too happy for a zombie. Like, come on. It's another thing that I think that zombies may be intelligent. Then, and another cool detail is that when Rick loses the horse in the beginning, he finds the tank. But in the comics, he finds the horse to get into the city, but he never sees the tank. So then he only sees the tank until the point where he is going back with Glenn into the city with the guts as well. And it starts to rain, and then they have to run away from all the zombies. They train a cart of guns, and the guns fall over, and then they have to... Rick tells Glenn to pick up as much as he can. And then some stuff starts happening, and then at one point, I think, in the second issue, we start to see Carl and Sophia getting some pretty girlfriend and boyfriend relations. Then all this stuff, important stuff happens, and then they're saddened by the death of Andrea's sister. And then at one point, Shane dies. I'm just going to that part. This is where he dies, I think. Around this point. Oh yeah, I gotta get back. Then Shane dies. Then that's the end of the first issue, and I hope you enjoyed. This is kind of theories about the first issue, but not as much as reviewing as it has more theories and quirks and things I thought of when I was reading the first issue in the compendium. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.